Well, the NSA has this operation called it's called Tailored Access Operations, and they can hack into any electronic device. And people might sit back and go, "Well, I'm not a criminal. I'm not doing anything wrong." And this isn't about I'm not doing anything wrong. This is about a couple of things. This is about being able to live your life without somebody looking over your shoulder and monitoring you, and the damage that these devices are doing. And so there's two things going on. You're being surveilled without your knowledge. And, you might not be doing anything wrong, but you might not think you're doing anything wrong. And if the government or the state decides that you're a wrongdoer, they can access all of your records from all of your devices through all of the companies that capture all this data. And then they can use it against you. They can build a case. It doesn't even have to be legitimate. These courts are not even real courts. They're just administrative centers, and they're using it as a fear tactic and an incarceration, point to just take people out, whatever they want to do, make examples of them, incarcerate them, and they're protecting their position of power this way. They have to control us.
No, Ron, I gotta butt in. Hey, Michael, I gotta ask you a question as a attorney.
Yeah.
Can they just all of a sudden come and take you out of your house and put you in a cage for no reason at all, and they don't have to tell you why?
Yeah. That's some clauses in the Terrorist Act and the various things that have been run through that they can grab you first and then try to prove the point later on. I think what Ronald is saying is even more egregious when you realize that by gathering all this information about individuals, no matter what and what they where they are, is that even if they don't like you, if you haven't broken any laws at all, but even if they just figure out that you're just kind of like a hard person to deal with, in their agenda, who knows what they can actually put up to kind of assume that you're doing something wrong and even manufacture evidence. I mean, we've heard that many times in various cases over the years. So that's a scary thing too. Even if you are, one of those who says, "Well, I'm not a criminal. I don't have anything to hide." Maybe you don't, but I tell you what, they sure have the ability to make it look like you've got something to hide.
Well, can't they? At one point, guys, can't they? Like maybe some conversations you've had, sit there and edit them to make you look guilty and make you sound like you said something you never said. I mean, let's face it, we don't know what the future is going to be like. We don't. I just know that as we go on from 2017 to 18 to 19, it's getting scary, guys. It's not like it was. I mean, right now we got more than a Cold War on our hands. We got China threatening, a high official in China threatening to take out a couple of our aircraft carriers. You have Russia, right, saying that they now have the capability to take out any of our. Basically, they could nuke us, and we couldn't shoot down their missiles. They also are flaunting that they come out with a doomsday device that can create 300-foot waves to come on shore and take out cities and stuff like that. And what it doesn't take out is going to leave such high radiation, it's going to kill off whoever survives.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, Michael, let me ask you something. I was researching some of this data collection, and I don't know if you heard about this, but I read about there was a court ruling for the Naperville, and that's in Illinois, the Smart Meter Awareness Group they won a Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals decision that says that basically the Fourth Amendment actually protects energy consumption data. Like, for instance, these smart meters now that are going into homes. I mean, they're saying by 2020, 80% of the homes are going to have smart meters in there. And not only are they, highly dangerous with their frequency that they're putting out, but they basically do granular data collection, whereas it used to be like analog bulk collection. These these smart meters now can tell when you turn your lights off, when you go to bed, when you're home, when you're not home, what kind of appliances are being used in your house. Like, is it a refrigerator? Is it a microwave? Is it a TV? Is it a grow light? And so Illinois won their decision, and now a lot of the states really need to step forward. And in order to protect our Fourth Amendment rights, we basically have the right under the Fourth Amendment, and the data. It's the energy consumption data it covers, that we don't have to have smart meters, but they're trying to force them on us. I don't know if you had heard about that case.
Well, I have not heard about that, Ronald. I really appreciate it. I wrote the notes down here so I can check that one out specifically. But I'll tell you what, you're exactly right that indeed, legally, they're doing things that are unconstitutional all the time. And people are just kind of like rolling over and letting it happen. The whole 5G thing is just going to be a giant tsunami coming at us.
Oh, my God.
They don't even know, most of the people don't even know the ramifications of that. So, yeah, the
5G thing actually brought me to tears today.
I'll bet. You might want to give the audience a little bit of your knowledge on the 5G right now.
Yeah, I'd like your feedback on that.
Okay, well, the 5G thing, the mobile broadband networks, like, they were designed to meet the needs of people. The 3G, the third generation, fourth generation, those were designed to meet the needs of people and the way we share data. But the 5G, the fifth generation, has been created with machines' needs in mind. So if you think about what's happening with artificial intelligence and the rate at which it's gaining speed, the 5G implementation is going to it's being implemented for machines and their data. It's basically going to, it offers low latency, high efficiency data transfer. And so if you think about machines taking over the world, they're setting up that infrastructure with 5G. And what it does, the 5G, it achieves this by, it breaks down the data into small packages and allows faster transmission. Whereas 4G has like a 50 millisecond delay, 5G data transfer is going to be like a 1 millisecond delay, and we're not going to really notice it, but it's going to let the machines achieve seamless communication, which is going to open up like a whole Pandora's box of trouble. And the 5G technology is going to, it's going to basically, for processing speeds that require faster bandwidth. So our current frequency bandwidth is saturated. So the idea behind 5G is to use untapped bandwidth, and it's going to use extremely high frequency millimeter waves, MMWs, between like 30 gigahertz and 300 gigahertz. And it's going to be like use some lowered to mid-range frequency. But these high-frequency MMWs, they only travel a short distance, okay? And that's where the problem is. So these frequencies in the 5G, they travel a shorter distance, and they don't travel through like buildings, and they're absorbed by like rain and plants, and so there's signal interference. So what's going to happen? So the infrastructure is going to require smaller, barely noticeable cell towers situated closer together with more input and more output ports than there are, on the larger, easier to see 4G towers. So this is going to result in wireless antennas every few feet on every lamppost, every utility pole in your neighborhoods. And so what's going to happen? Like, for instance, in 2015, there were 308,000 wireless antennas on cell towers and buildings. And that's going to doubled the numbers from 2002. And 5G is going to require exponentially more smaller ones placed closer together, and it's going to, with each of them emitting bursts of radio frequency radiation, RFR, at low levels. But we're not going to be able to avoid them because these towers are going to be everywhere. You're going to be, if you could see it in the air, it's going to look like you're going to be walking through like a perpetual smog of radio frequency radiation. And what does it do? It's a major health concern. The World Health Organization classified RFR as a 2B carcinogen. and specified that the use of mobile cell phones can lead to like specific forms of brain cancer. It's going to mess with your DNA, oxidation damage, disrupting cell metabolism, increasing blood-brain barrier permeability. I mean, this technology is going to affect not just people, but the entire world. It's going to have like this public health crisis that we're going to go through. It's going to mean like signals carrying more energy through the high-frequency spectrum with more transmitters located to people's homes, workplaces, and we're going to be basically swamped by it.
More cancer?
And, there's...
I said more cancer?
Yeah, basically more cancer. And, well, the government has these direct energy weapons that can make your skin feel like you're burning. And the way that the 5G is going to be received is by the human epidermis. Basically there are these receptors in your skin that can pick up the frequency, and we'll be living in a direct energy fog. So that at any time, if the government, let's say North Korea, and we go to war with China, and the people rebel and they don't want to do this, and we're living in this RFR 5G frequency fog, they could probably manipulate. They could just make it feel like our skin's burning, just like those direct energies. They could do anything. They could just bring us to a standstill, and we wouldn't know why or how to even stop it. And nobody really understands that they're installing all of these antennas to not only, and they're going to put it under the guise of faster data transfer and a better internet, but really it's going to be a control mechanism, and we're going to be put into like a radio frequency prison.
I don't know. What do you think of that one there, Michael?
Well, a couple of points. First of all, I have heard friends of mine who just have done the step from non-smart meters to smart meters, literally telling me, anyway, that their dreams have changed when they got a smart meter next door or in their facility, in their apartment complex. Their vividness of their dreams have changed, and that kind of thing can happen very easily with RF. And just think of what's going to happen if you've got these 5G transmitters like every 5 feet or so throughout the entire area that you're living in. And that also brings up for me, Ronald, is that I've always, I'm one of the conspiracy fans like yourself, and I'm just wondering, indeed, these things are going to be so invasive and so prevalent throughout our entire environment. How do you suppose the powers that be, who are really in charge of this whole idea of controlling humanity, how do you think they're going to prepare themselves and insulate themselves from the same problem that they are inflicting on people? They've always thought of that ahead of time. And I'm wondering whether it's some kind of a life extension drug or some kind of a DNA tweak that they're going to be using themselves to make sure that they're not affected.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's so funny that you mentioned life extension and that kind of the DNA tweaking. I think they've had that understanding, knowledge, and capability for longer than we've probably even been thinking about it. In fact, think about this. We have a biological clock, and our metabolism is a part of that. And when you think how we've been programmed to eat 3 to 5 meals a day and to exercise, each of those things raises your metabolism, it speeds up your internal clock, and increases your aging. And we're being programmed to eat all this dead cooked stuff, these dead cooked things with no energy. I mean, we've been trained that, the fire was one of the greatest things we invented so we could cook our food and have heat. But are we even supposed to be eating the stuff that we're eating to increase our aging and our metabolism and the carcinogens flooding through our body? I wouldn't be surprised if there's a whole population of the powers that be that don't really consume any of the things that we're consuming, that they're programming us to, and they've got cloning capabilities. They probably understand more about the soul and where we come from and what we're living in than they're willing to give us the information. And when we try and find the information about anything, they just say, well, under national security, we're not allowed to reveal any of that information. And what is national security? And I've said this before. This is just a company